DoorDash has a new payment option for your takeout. The food delivery service is teaming up with the buy now, pay later company Klarna.
Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay later.
360 million people use buy now, pay later services such as Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, Sezzle, and Zip.
More Americans than ever are using buy now, pay later just to be able to afford groceries.
Buy now, pay later is probably one of my number one most hated forms of debt. It's so sneaky.
You know that feeling when you want something but can't afford it at the moment? It's the perfect setup for a deal that seems too good to be true. Buy now, pay later. The promise of getting what you want today and paying later, all with zero interest.
Come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
A quick fix to buy that new phone or that game you can't stop thinking about. You hit a button and suddenly it's yours. But what if I told you that this seemingly harmless offer is actually designed to keep you hooked in ways you don't fully realize?
Get my lawyer!
At first glance, it only makes sense, right? I mean, no upfront payment, no interest charges, what's not to like? But dig a little deeper and you'll see that these programs are nothing more than a modern spin on a very old trick. They're built to exploit human psychology, giving you that instant gratification while slowly leading you into a trap where the cost keeps growing and the payments feel like they'll never end. When you buy something with buy now, pay later, you're not just making a simple transaction. You're being conditioned to think small payments spread out over time aren't a big deal. But when you zoom out and see how these programs are marketed to you, how they play on your emotions, and how they keep you in a cycle of debt, you start to realize something. They're not just giving you a way to buy stuff. They're giving you a way to buy into more debt, all while making you feel like you're winning. In the past, if you wanted to buy something but couldn't afford it right away, you had a couple of options. Save up or maybe put it on a credit card. But today, there's a new financial tool in town and it's slowly changing the way we buy things. Buy now, pay later, BNPL for short. Buy now, pay later is a straightforward proposition. Divide the total cost of an item into smaller, more manageable payments spread over a few weeks or months. For example, imagine you're eyeing that new pair of designer sneakers that cost $200. Instead of shelling out the full amount right away, you're offered the chance to pay in 4 easy installments of $50 every 2 weeks. It feels like a win-win, right? You get the product immediately, but the financial burden is spread out over time. Services like Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm make this possible, offering you the ability to check out at many online retailers with just a few clicks. But here's where things get interesting. This isn't just a modernized version of an old concept like layaway, where you'd pay for an item over time before you got to take it home. With BNPL, you get the product in your hands or at your door right away. You often don't pay a single cent in interest, assuming you stick to the agreed payment schedule.
Oh, this is just too good!
That's the major hook that draws people in. The appeal of BNPL lies in how it removes one of the most common barriers to purchasing: the need to pay everything up front. Think about how many times you've hesitated before clicking buy on something because the total cost seemed too steep. But when you break it down into smaller chunks, the decision feels much easier to make. Let's say you're planning a trip and need new luggage. You find the perfect suitcase for $300. With a traditional credit card, you'd have to commit to paying it all at once, or face sky-high interest if you don't pay it off right away. But with BNPL, you can split that $300 into 4 equal installments, each due over the next 6 weeks. And it doesn't stop with major purchases. BNPL isn't just reserved for the big ticket items. It's becoming a ubiquitous option for everything from small accessories to even your daily cup of coffee or a meal from your favorite restaurant. Some services now allow you to finance purchases as small as $10 or $15.
Wow.
What was once an option primarily for larger purchases has now infiltrated nearly every corner of consumer spending. The more we use these services, the more we risk losing track of how much we've spent, how much we owe, and where we stand financially. So why has buy now, pay later taken off the way it has? First of all, the decline of traditional credit. Many consumers, especially younger generations, have turned away from using credit cards due to high interest rates and the potential for debt accumulation. BNPL offers a much simpler, less intimidating option. No interest, no complicated terms, just the ease of paying over time. Second, there's the rise of e-commerce, which is largely driven by the younger generation, who finds these digital payment methods much more appealing than dealing with traditional credit lines. And third, there's the social influence. Influencers and online personalities constantly showcase a life of luxury and instant gratification. The idea that you can have it now, pay later, ties perfectly into this culture of instant rewards and social media-driven consumption. But let's not forget the numbers. The market for BNPL has exploded in recent years. In just a couple of years, the total transaction volume for BNPL services went from $2 billion to over $24 billion, and it's expected to keep growing at an astonishing pace. In fact, it's projected to hit $560.1 billion by the end of 2025. At this point, BNPL has become so ingrained in our shopping habits that it's almost hard to remember a time when it wasn't an option. You've seen the buttons on checkout pages, begging you to click and buy without hesitation. Humans are wired for rewards. We want things now, and we don't always think about the long-term consequences. It's a basic part of our survival instincts. The quicker we get rewards, the better we feel. BNPL capitalizes on this by giving us exactly what we want in the moment, without the emotional burden of paying up front. You might feel a tiny thrill as you click that buy now, pay later option. A quick dopamine hit that makes you feel like you've won. The anticipation of getting a product immediately, followed by the promise of spreading the payment out, is more satisfying than having to wait or commit fully to paying. Then there's the psychological concept known as present bias, which is all about our tendency to prioritize immediate rewards over future costs. When you use BNPL, the future payments seem far away. The financial responsibility gets pushed to the back of your mind, while your desire for the item. This is why BNPL is so effective at convincing you to purchase things that you might not need or can't afford. It tricks your brain into thinking that you're only dealing with small, manageable payments, not a larger debt that could accumulate and haunt you later. Another powerful psychological trick BNPL services use is the concept of loss aversion. Loss aversion is the idea that we feel the pain of losing something far more acutely than we feel the pleasure of gaining something. When you make an immediate purchase using a credit card or pay up front, you experience a loss of money right away. But with BNPL, the immediate pain is avoided. Instead, it's delayed. And by the time those payments start rolling in, you're often distracted by your next purchase or the excitement of getting something new. BNPL makes it easier to avoid feeling that sting. And because of that, you're more likely to make impulsive purchases. These psychological principles also play into another dangerous aspect of BNPL, the social pressure. We live in an age of social media, where influencers and brands have perfected the art of showing off a life filled with instant rewards. It feels like everyone's living a fast-paced, instant gratification lifestyle. BNPL fits perfectly into this cultural narrative. It enables you to keep up with the Joneses, to look like you're living the same life as those influencers you follow, without having to deal with the real-world consequences of your spending. The ease of paying in installments allows you to buy that item, post a picture of it online, and show it off, all before the true cost of the purchase even hits your bank account. This combination of social comparison and instant rewards creates a feedback loop that's difficult to break. You see someone else with something you want, and you use BNPL to get it quickly, all while telling yourself that it's okay because you'll pay for it later. The satisfaction of getting what you want immediately outweighs any feelings of guilt or hesitation, and the cycle continues. Before you know it, you've racked up multiple BNPL purchases, each one feeding into the next, with the payments stacking up and the consequences piling on. While BNPL is designed to be seamless and easy, its true power lies in how it taps into these deeply ingrained psychological patterns. The process becomes so effortless that it almost feels like you're not even spending money. The immediate rewards are too compelling, the social pressures too strong, and the future payments too far off to worry about right now. But as convenient and enticing as BNPL may seem, it's important to ask, what happens when that cycle starts to unravel? One of the biggest hidden dangers of BNPL is the accumulation of debt. At first glance, those small payments may seem insignificant, but when you have several of them stacking up across multiple purchases, the total can quickly become overwhelming. The problem is compounded by the fact that BNPL often doesn't involve the kind of clear financial tracking that a traditional credit card does. With a credit card, you're constantly reminded of how much you owe. BNPL, on the other hand, feels disconnected. You're not thinking about your total debt, you're just thinking about the next small payment. But when it comes time to pay up, that's when the full extent of your spending comes into focus. And if that wasn't enough, there are the late fees. Many BNPL services, while promoting their no-interest deals, will happily charge you hefty penalties if you miss a payment. Those small manageable payments can suddenly explode into far larger amounts. And with that, the interest can begin to accrue and fees can multiply, creating a financial spiral that's hard to escape from. In fact, some BNPL users find themselves paying back more than they originally owed, all because they missed one payment or stretched their budget too thin. In many cases, BNPL encourages a cycle of overconsumption. The more you use BNPL, the more you spend. The more you spend, the more you rely on BNPL to manage your finances, which only creates more debt. It's a system designed to get you hooked, and once you're in, it's incredibly difficult to break free. And while it might seem harmless at first, it's easy to see how the system can spiral out of control, especially when used repeatedly without caution.